Betokun after reform uh, backlash. That's the size of the headlines on the Punch newspaper, the Saturday Punch. And now we are moving to the Saturday Times, where we have the big story saying EFCC files fresh charges against Emefiele, the former CBN governor. I'm just thinking, if every government official will have to be checked after leaving office, I think that will go a long way to curb the corruption that a lot of people said has eaten deeply into the fabric of the society. But then, some are being checkmated, some are being tried, some are being pursued after their office, and others are not. So sometimes you begin to put one or two together and think it will be important if you want to have a sanitized society, growth in our economy. Everyone caught in the act of corruption should be pursued to the end and meant to face the wrath of the law. Now I have this headline which says reps investigates midnight conduct of Wase. Okay, federal government mourn victims of Makwa flood disaster, mobilize relief efforts. And this one says INEC set date for Ekiti Osun Guba elections. A 2 years anniversary, Tinubu's administration, a blessing to Nigerians. APC is the one saying that, and the details you can find on page 12 of the Saturday Times. And that takes us to the Weekend Trust. The Weekend Trust has the big story, which says 2027. That's the kicker. INEC withholds registration of new parties. All right, we have a lot of parties, but then during the election, you don't even get to hear about these parties. But you hear about the major parties. I don't know, every party is major, depending on how you follow your aspiration, how you bring yourself to the limelight, the number of times you've gone for orientation to let people know what this party stands for and the followership. But then INEC is withholding registration of new political parties. All right, we'll have a picture story of infrastructures here. And you have Governor Buni's second term in office, elevating service delivery across Yobe State, a snapshot of key projects and programs. That's what you have as the picture story on the Weekend Trust. And I want to quickly look at the Vanguard, the Saturday Vanguard, where we have the story saying Niger flood. I lost 17 members of my household. Victim is lamenting as death toll rises to 115. This is flooding we're talking about here. Imagine, despite the hunger, despite the things going on, you still have people losing their lives because of maybe somebody's carelessness or a situation, a disaster, a natural disaster, which can actually maybe be curtailed if the property is being done at the right time. This one says we are hungrier, impoverished. Nigerians are the ones saying that we are hungrier and impoverished. That's coming from Nigerians. And this one says our health, 3 nights of poor sleep harmful to health. All right, that's a study showing that there. Killer voodoo, men on the prowl, tension spreads. Moving away from there, let me quickly look at the last paper for the day, which is the Guardian newspaper. And on the Guardian newspaper this morning, we have some very major headlines. And I'm beginning from the big story. What's the big story here? Nigeria's $200 billion revenue target from non-oil exports elusive amid high shipping costs and logistic holders. That's the big story. A lot of things happening. And you have a picture story right there of the movers and shakers in that industry. You also have this headline which says valued addition crucial to Nigeria's raw materials development. This is coming from Ike Monsu. Nigeria's raw materials. We have a lot of raw materials. We remember, in fact, we'll talk about that during the discussion. The raw materials, people who are into entrepreneurship, people who are contributing to the growth of the economy in their own special way. What is the federal government doing? The availability of raw materials for these people to be able to work. Is it available? Is the government making it available? The companies that make these things available, or you will need to go as far as importing to have this job done. We'll also look at how locally made product shells. We have a lot of fashion designers in Nigeria, a lot of shoe cobblers that even do it better than what we call the so-called foreign shoes that we have. This has been proven, and we'll look at that during our conversation. So, value addition crucial to Nigeria's raw material development. That's on the Guardian newspaper. The return of Okada Menens in Lagos State. Africa's brave new ancestors called Ngugi. And this one says Biafra Day anniversary, markets, schools, offices shut down in Enugu State. Imo as Ebonyi residents, the 5 sit-at-home order. This one says the federal government targets 90% energy cost savings for bus drivers with CNG vehicles. Finally, smear campaign won't stop police reform, says CASA. And details you can get on page 43 of the Guardian newspaper. And all of these are the headlines that will be taken for the day as we get into the discussion for the day. And we will be looking at something very critical. It's about the growth of the economy, how critical it is right now that we have all this situation, and how individuals with their skills can contribute to the growth of the economy. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll hit the way with the only discussion that we will have for the day. Stay with us. back from that break. Now we want to go into the discussion for the day. I have with me here someone who has, in his own way, driven the economic growth of this nation in his own way. You know, a lot of people are doing things contributing to the economy unnoticed. But today, we want to look at a very unique topic, and we're looking at driving economic growth, entrepreneurship development as a critical factor. And you know, sometimes when you speak with people, when you go around and you see how Nigerians are putting in effort to meet up with the economic situation, not depending on the government, you begin to think, what do you think will happen? How far do you think these people will go if they get all the support that they need? And that made me understand squarely well that Nigerians are very resilient people, Nigerians are very intelligent, Nigerians are entrepreneurs. I've spoken with a lady before who had about 6 or 7 skills. Today, we have someone who is going to be talking to us. And of course, our target today is driving economic growth. And how do we drive economic growth? We are looking at entrepreneurship development as a critical factor. And I have with me in the studio today Adama Samuel. Adama Samuel is the CEO of Normal Code Shoes. The first time that I spoke with the guest and saw what he does, you know, I was like, we still have this kind of people in Nigeria contributing to the economy of the nation. And of course, you will get to hear so much from yourself, for yourself, see so much, and you will also agree with me that individuals can also drive the economy. It's good to have you join us, Samuel, this morning.
Thank you, sir.
All right. You are the CEO of Normal Code Shoes. What informed this your entrepreneurship? What informed? Why did you decide to do this when everybody's waiting for the federal government to give them job?
This country is, I will say, the majority of the masses always feel like it is the government that have to help them, give them jobs. So after school, I discovered that the jobs is not up to the numbers of the people in the country. So I have to go into shoemaking and make sure that I have some people trained and then get themselves employed so that to go round, and then the level of the unemployment reduce in the country. That is the main point. And then what I mostly want in this country, like for the federal government to support, is that let them just appreciate the skilled workers like shoemakers and the tailors.
All right. Let's get to talk about something very important now. You talk about training people. How do you come up with that idea? Because some persons, a lot of people, some people it's even difficult for them to be convinced, all right, to actually learn this. So how has it been? How has it been training people?
Yes. In the process of training those people, some people come to learn by themselves, and some of them came because of their parents forced them to do it. But when they come to my own place, I make sure they feel at home, they feel like it is their parents that is training them to learn how to make it, and then learn how to boost the economy of this country.
All right, that's very vital. Now, there is something. Some people feel, okay, education is the best. What level of education do you think anyone can attain? Okay, must you be a graduate or maybe master degree holder or secondarian or maybe a primary school person to learn this? Is it difficult to learn so that because a lot of people want to contribute to the growth of the economy, because if you are feeding your family, feeding your immediate family, have one or two persons that are depending on you, it's going to go a long way, alleviating poverty. So does it require any qualification, all right, to become a shoemaker and become an entrepreneur to contribute to the economy?
Yes, what I see there is that as I am here today, I am an NCE holder from Benue State College of Education, Oju. After school, that was when I decided to go into deep in the business. Though before the school, I learned the work from my boss in Benue State there. But what I see about this boosting of the economy is that even without education, you can still learn the skill. It will be proper. But the main point is that when you are a graduate, you know how to innovate it better. That is what I know about it. So majority of us that are making waves in this business now is most of us are graduates, and when we touch it, it is always the top notch. That's why I see us growing. I have up to like 17 people that have graduated since I started this business. Like 17 strong shoemakers that are doing well currently.
That's in FCT here.
Yes.
See, this is what we're talking about. These are people, a lot of people travel and they said, I'm going to the city. And the reason why people want to go to the city most times is going to look for white collar jobs. But these other persons came, this thing, life is about strategy. Life is about what you have in mind, what you want to do. Now, it is one thing, all right, to learn how to do the shoemaking. You are an expert in it. We've seen some of your product, very fantastic products. Now, the materials you use, like I was going through the papers just now, someone was talking about raw materials.
Yes.
The materials you use, do you get everything in Nigeria or they are imported?
The material I use sometimes, some of them are supposed to be made in Nigeria, because what I'm seeing on the shoes, as a learned person, what I'm seeing using to make shoes, they are all in Nigeria. But Nigeria doesn't have a factory that produces them. That's the challenge we have. Like we have calf skin, we have pig skin, we have how do they call it, goat skin, and the rest. So those ones, there are those we have, as I call the name of those animals, or we have them in Nigeria, and then nowhere I can testify to you that they have where they are producing those leathers in Nigeria. They are importing those. I know a man, Ifani, that I know a man, Ifani, that imports leather and shoe sole from China straight to Nigeria. Where we use it in FCT. So those things, there are things that our federal government should put eyes on, and then make sure it is available for us in the country.
But these things that you import, what about the machines that you use?
The machines, we Nigerians, we Africans, it's like I may say we are used to hard labor all of the thing, because we use mostly our hands to make most of this work. We use like little, like small machines. But if we have more machines, like lasting machine, heating machine, and the oven, and so many other machines that are there, that we can still use to improve this work. It's still there. If the government put eye and make sure that this thing, let's make it available in the country so that people will be using it, or people can buy it, because There's some time ago I tried to check if I can see where they sell shoe to, like lasting machine and heating machine in FCT. I didn't know anywhere about
The whole of FCT.
it. Yes.
If we don't have it in FCT, then something is wrong. So, meaning the federal government will need to do something to ensure they can actually do that. Apart from that, what else do you think? Because some persons, like people who start, that like you said, you've trained over 17 persons already.
Yes.
Getting started, how is it like for them to get started? Because you said they are doing very fine now. Starting, how is it like? Is it what do you think the government can do to help people like that get started? And those of you who are already into it, because you've told us that the essence of this is to drive economic growth. You know, so what do you think the government needs to do to help people who want to start and those of you that are already doing it?
Yes, what we really need is, like me, I'm not satisfied with my tools. Truth to be told, because last week I got some set of lasts which I normally use to make my shoe, like new design. Because as day breaks, you have to improve your work. Like, make sure this thing looks different, make sure it stand out, make sure you improve, work comes out neat. So those things, they are part of it. And then government, what I'm looking at, we need support, like financial support. In something like this, we need financial support, like make sure we have some cash to get some materials, make shoes available, and then make more space for people to come in and learn, and then we expand, so that the quantity we import will become lesser than the quantity we export.
That's good. I like that. I love that word. I think
That's what-
if there's anything I'm taking away from what you've said now, if there's something that I mustn't forget, the quantity we are exporting out should be more than the quantity we are importing,
Yes.
because we have what it takes.
Yes.
Well, we're looking at how we can boost the economy and driving economic growth. And we're looking at entrepreneurship as a critical tool, you know. And we have someone here who is the CEO of Normal Code Shoes. And he has said something very vital. He has trained a lot of people. So for those people, unemployment is not an issue anymore. He himself, he's been to the higher institution. So we cannot say, well, shoemaking, you need to be this, you need to be that. But then one of the things that he has said that actually caught my fancy is more innovation, all right?
Yes.
More education, more innovation.
Yes.
And that's why he said he even learned the trade first, but he had to go to school. And after leaving the higher institution, coming back to his work again, the shoemaking, he improves more on it.
Yes.
More innovation, more ideas coming in. Now, you said something about you competing, all right, or maybe people like you, entrepreneurs in Nigeria, in the bid to drive economic growth, competing with international products. What can you say about how is the patronage, the attitude of Nigerians when it comes to patronizing locally made products like the shoes that you make, and of course, we talk about people who are fashion designers, but we're looking at your own area right now. You can see that beautiful shoe right there. You know, that's Adama Samuel on duty right there. And imagine if this place where he's working now is expanded. You see an apprentice right there. You see it's expanded, and a lot of tools are being acquired. It's going to go a long way. You see the packaging. All right, let's talk about the idea of, I was trying to ask a question. What do you need to compete, all right, with global products, Italian shoes, maybe other shoes? What do you need to compete with them? Look at the beautiful shoes right there.
What I need mostly is industrial machines. Like make it like an industry where you go to a proper job, like proper job, where you use machine to get something done instead of using your hand. Because sometimes you get tired, you don't have the strength to make something better. Like getting shoes like that of Italian. I always say that.
Okay, I want to say something once again. These things are produced in Nigeria. How is the level of patronage, the awareness, the Nigerians? Because some Nigerians, there is this school of thought that some Nigerians feel, well, when it is coming from abroad, it's better. But we have these homemade shoes, which are far better than what we get from abroad sometimes. So, what do you think about the patronage in Nigeria? How is the patronage like?
Yes, in this country, if you are doing this business and you don't have your social media platforms, it's like you are still behind because you have to be pushing yourself every day. Like me, people used to tell me that normal code, you have strength, like you don't rest at all. Like 12 midnight, they chat you reply this one that. I say yes, I have to do this because if I am not there to reply the customers, they'll feel like I'm not serious. And then I always have it in mind that I must be at the top to make sure that this country have something from me. That's what I want. I want, like, if I am improving, like if I am improving, it's my joy and it's my country's pride. Making this show, like making this show,
Yeah, I know. Making those shoes actually boost the economy because it's going into the taxes you're paying from your shop, the things you buy, and all of that are contributing to the nation. Well, they are working on the tax now. We talked about it yesterday. Now, you talked about social media. Let's look at it critically. In let's say, should I say, 10 years from now? Because you know what came to my mind when we were talking about the fact that you are the one who had to reply messages when people are requesting and all of that. I was thinking, what if the federal government, though there are some loans that can be taken, or maybe grants even, you don't even need a loan. The federal government needs to make grants available. Like you talk about expansion. If you are expanded, let's say for instance, if you have what it takes and you expand, do you think what do you think? Because I know one day you become a CEO that don't work again. People will have to start working for you. At that point, you need somebody like a secretary or maybe a customer service officer who will be replying messages, who will be going to pay the taxes. When it's time to pay tax, you register your company, the person will be going do the tax payment and all of that. So in, let's say, 10 years from now, where do you see your company? I'm talking about Normal Code Shoes now. Where do you see? Where do you want to be?
yes, my plans and my belief is that my company will be at the top, like the top. Once you talk about handmade in Nigeria, you first call Normal Code Shoes because I make them by myself and my team. So I believe we must go far. That is it. We must go far.
It's not negotiable.
Yes, we must go far.
I think I love that.
That is it.
We must. That's goal. That's a goal setting. That's goal setting. We must go far. We must enlarge, and we must have people working for us. We must fight unemployment.
Yes.
Well, our time is up. We can't take more, but then in case you want more information or more details, you can actually check him out on Instagram, normalcode_shoes on Instagram, and you can get more information if you want to reach him. that is where you do all of that. But then I think this product, I don't know, I am addicted. I am addicted to using Nigerian made things. Okay, and of course, very soon I'll be showing you some of the shoes, all right, that I've actually acquired from Normal Code shoes and how they look. Let's make this economy thrive. If you're an entrepreneur, help somebody else to become an entrepreneur like you. And of course, let's also build the nation. Thank you very much, Adama Samuel, for joining us on Global Morning today to talk together how we can push the economy forward.
Thank you, sir.
All right, this is going to be the size of Global Morning for today. Well, I think I feel elated. I'm encouraged because it is obvious that Nigerian youths are not lazy. And it is obvious now from what I've heard that everyone have a role to play in making the economy thrive, in boosting the economy, in developing the nation. My name is Ramsey Enoch, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. Evidently, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president